Hey everyone, this is Laura from Something Witchy. Skye and I wanted to take a quick break from talking about Sabrina to talk about something super important, voting.
That's right. It might seem like elections are just about the presidential race every 4 years, but your local and state elections are just as important, if not more so.
Absolutely. I actually got to participate in the caucus system in my state, and it was really eye-opening. I never realized how much a small portion of the population was deciding who ends up on the ballot.
It's a great reminder that our voices matter, even at the local level. Every vote really counts, whether it's city council, school board, or even ballot measures that impact your daily life.
Exactly. Voting isn't just about the big national elections. Local elections are where a lot of the decisions that affect your community are made. Plus, the people you vote for at the local level often go on to influence things at the state and national level too.
So, if you're listening and you're not registered to vote yet, what are you waiting for? It's super easy to register. There are so many resources online like vote.org that can help you get set up.
And if you're already registered, yay! Now make sure you actually vote when the time comes. Whether it's early voting, absentee, or showing up at the polls on election day, your vote matters. We can't let a small group of people decide everything for us.
And don't forget, local elections and primaries happen more often than you think, so check your local election dates and make a plan to vote. Your voice really does make a difference.
Seriously, guys, democracy works best when everyone participates. Don't sit on the sidelines, get out there and make your voice heard.
And after you vote, come back and listen to us talk about Sabrina again. But first, vote. It's one of the most magical things you can do.
Thanks for listening, witches. Go make a change in your community and your country. Now, back to the magic. Welcome to another episode of Something Witchy, a Sabrina the Teenage Witch rewatch podcast. I am Laura Cotter.
And I'm Skye Orchard.
And we are so pleased to have you with us again. Are you ready for your question this week, Skye?
Yes.
I am not ready. I did not think of my own answers beforehand, so we're both starting off on the same level.
Good.
What would you put in your personality glaze for your dream date? Let's do 3 things.
Sarcasm, because they gotta be able to match me. Nerdiness and honeyness. Love a good play on words.
I thought you said honeyness.
a little sugar. Sugar and spice and everything nice. And then some component X and make the Powerpuff Girls, basically. Or chemical X. What would you do in your Mando?
Ambition, but not too much. Just a little bit of ambition. Do you think they have like an emotional intelligence sprinkle or something you can put in that?
One would hope.
I would hope.
Given the monster Hilda created.
Maybe that is like the optimism, but like fresh optimism. Number 3, cat lover. A little bit of cat lover in there.
I have a question about your ambition, though.
Yes.
What ambitious thing are you trying to do within 4 hours?
Oh, that's true. I guess
Are you robbing a bank? Are we taking over things? Like,
okay, that's why I said just a little bit of ambition. Like, just a little bit of like, wants to do something, not just sit around and not do anything.
Okay.
Yeah, not like take over the world, but just somebody who can like make a plan for that 4 hours. So we have like a planned date within that 4 hours is like the kind of ambition level I'm looking for. Our episode this time is season 1, episode 6, titled Dream Date. Our description is something's cooking when Aunts Hilda and Zelda use Mando to bake a date for Sabrina. It originally aired on November 1st, 1996. Gail Mancuso is back as our director. They also directed the Rudy Kazudi episode. And our writer this time is Rachel Lippman, who also has writing credits for Rugrats and Hey Arnold.
Great writing credits right there.
Right.
Solid.
We have a bunch of guest stars again. We have Brian Austin Green, who plays Chad Corey Dillon, known for Beverly Hills 90210, Anger Management, Desperate Housewives, Terminator, The Sarah Connor Chronicles, and Knots Landing. He's also maybe known for being married to Megan Fox for 11 years, from 2010 to 2021.
Look at you, Brian Austin Green.
By the way, his current pictures, he's still a cutie. Good job, Brian Austin Green. Well done, aging well. Then we have Tom Wilson, who is Simon, which everybody I hopefully knows him as Biff from all of the Back to the Future things. Fun fact, Tom Wilson would reunite with Melissa Joan Hart on one episode of Melissa and Joey. Didn't really watch that show, but I feel like I probably should have. Eddie Cibrian is back. So he was previously appeared as himself in the Rudy Kazudi episode. This time he's playing Daryl. I'm a little confused how we saw him like 3 episodes ago and they don't put 2 and 2 together that Daryl looks exactly like Eddie Cibrian, but that's okay. We also have Nicole Bilderback, as Sasha. She was in Clueless, and then a bunch of crime and cop shows, including Brooklyn Nine-Nine,
9-9.
Castle, Bones, Cold Case, and Numbers. Darren Singleton is Raphael. A couple of acting credits, not a bunch. Criminal Minds is mentioned, as well as the movies Broken Glass, This Isn't Funny, and A Lesson of Love, which I have not seen any of those. I've never heard of them. I'm sure he was wonderful in them, though.
You've watched Criminal Minds, right?
I've watched Criminal Minds,
Okay.
yes, but I don't remember his character in it. All right, Skye, what are your overall thoughts and ratings for this episode?
It was a fun episode. Some fun music choices in the background, especially during the fun montage.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. There was very little Salem in this episode.
Yes, that is a travesty, and it was in my notes.
I will say I didn't mind it so much because Brian Austin Green was fabulous as Chad Corey Dillon, and he 100% stole the show.
What if we had Chad Corey Dillon and Salem together, though? Imagine their witticisms off each other. I'm stretching.
Yeah, I think Salem would scratch him real quick.
Yeah, too much enthusiasm.
Too much enthusiasm for Salem. Starting with our cold open, the phone in the kitchen is ringing, and Zelda is just about to answer it when Sabrina comes running down the stairs and grabs it from her. It's Harvey calling to ask her a question. Sabrina asks Zelda to give her some privacy, although Zelda doesn't really get it at first. Zelda has a little tea mug, and there is smoke coming out of her.
Yeah, my note was, that tea be brewing.
I want to know what, because there's a tea bag tag hanging out of it, and she's adding honey to it. What kind of tea is that? What'd she put in there?
Definitely some smoky flavor in there. Trying to think of my smoky teas. Or it's a dry iced tea. Let's be real.
That's what I was thinking. Like, as a scientist, she just throws some dry ice into any of her cups for fun. So Zelda's out of the kitchen now with her smoking tea, mystery tea. Sabrina resumes her call with Harvey, but hears some laughter coming from a basket. She asks Harvey to wait again and kicks Salem out of the kitchen as well as he sings Harvey and Sabrina, Harvey and Sabrina. Finally alone, Sabrina goes back to Harvey. Disappointed, Sabrina says that no, Mr. Poole said photosynthesis would not be on the test. She asks if that's all, and then tells him she'll see him tomorrow and hangs up the phone. Louisa, the painting, reassures her that Harvey will ask her out one day. Sabrina thanks her, and then gets upset that Louisa was also listening in. Sabrina goes back upstairs. Louisa sings Harvey and Sabrina, Harvey and Sabrina. And I found out that Louisa is voiced by Caroline Rhea with her voice sped up.
Ooh, that's a fun fact.
We have our outfit intro, and Sabrina appears in a go-go outfit, including boots and some 60s hair. And she says, feeling groovy, far out. Libby is hanging up a Harvest Moon dance sign in the cafeteria, while Sasha says she doesn't understand how people can dance with all the tables there.
Oh, Sasha.
Poor Sasha, this whole episode. Like, while Chad Corey Dillon is on one end of the spectrum, Sasha's on the complete opposite end of that spectrum. I'll have some other thoughts about Sasha later. Libby assures her that they'll move the tables. Jenny joins Sabrina at their lunch table, saying she's going to the dance. Sabrina asks who she's going with, and Jenny says herself to represent all things that are odd. Great self-awareness, Jenny. Jenny asks if Sabrina wants to come with her to go alone together. Sabrina wants to go with Harvey, but she doesn't want to ask him and complicate their friendship. But she's totally fine if he asks her and complicates their friendship. Jenny stands up and calls Harvey over to come sit with them. And Harvey gets a little sarcastic when he thanks her for pointing out that they're sitting at the same table where they always sit. Jenny asks if he has any plans for the dance and then quickly leaves. Harvey's confused by her sudden departure, but Sabrina asks him what he was going to say about the dance. Harvey says he probably won't go because school dances aren't his thing. Sabrina says she hasn't made any plans either, yet. Libby then comes up and asks to borrow Harvey's finger to tie a balloon. Sabrina points out that she and Harvey were talking, and Libby could have asked somebody else, but Libby says that Harvey works out.
I can just imagine Harvey having these tiny, tiny finger weights, and he's just doing little curl-ups with his tiny finger weights during Mr. Poole's class instead of listening.
Like, I know it was supposed to be a dumb excuse, but that was a really bad excuse. Libby then says she and Harvey should go to the dance together, and Harvey meekly agrees. Libby leaves, and Sabrina angrily says that Harvey said that school dances aren't his thing. He says he panicked and needs to work on saying no. The one thing I did notice in this scene is that their lunches are literally just a piece of pizza and a juice box. And Jenny didn't even touch hers. Like, she had hers on a plate, sat down. Harvey sat down. She got up and left. Jenny didn't even touch her one piece of pizza. She just
Yeet. Yep, return of the sugar juice. Also, feel for Harvey. Need to practice saying no. People pleasers of the world, unite.
Sabrina is in her room flipping through her magic book in frustration and calls out to Aunt Zelda for help. Zelda asks what it is, and Sabrina says it's kind of private, which makes Hilda peek into her room and ask what's going on. Sabrina asks her aunts to keep what she tells them a secret, which I'm like, from who? Who is she worried that the aunts are going to talk to? Salem? The aunts don't talk to her school friends. They don't even know her school friends. And I felt for her aunts in this moment because my mom does this to me sometimes where she'll tell me stories of people in her neighborhood or in her city that I have never met before and will never meet in my life. And she's like, okay, but don't tell anybody. I'm like, who was I going to tell that would know about this or care about this? Also, I don't even remember the people's names because I've never heard of them before. And you just told me about them 5 minutes ago. The aunts are going to keep whatever she says private from, I don't know, Louisa the painting, I guess. Sabrina says she wants to go to the dance with this guy, Harvey. Zelda finishes. Sabrina says, right, but he's going with this other girl, Libby, Hilda finishes. Zelda says she can't do anything about Harvey liking Libby, but Sabrina says he only said yes because he can't say no. Hilda asks why Sabrina didn't ask him, and with perfect teenager logic, Sabrina says because then Harvey would know that she likes him. Hilda is confused because she does like Harvey, but Sabrina can't tell him that. Zelda asks if she's at least hinted, and Sabrina says she smiles at him a lot, and sometimes she lets him win at foosball. I just criticized Sabrina, but now I'm going to criticize myself because I am 37 years old and this is still me. I can't tell a boy I like that I like him because that's embarrassing. What if he likes me back and then he knows that I like him? Like how embarrassing.
And then if you like each other, you have to do something about it.
Right? And then like we're going to go on a date and like we're going to get married. And how embarrassing would that be to get married to somebody I like?
Gross.
Have children with somebody I like? Are you kidding me?
Unacceptable.
This is why I'm alone. Zelda says she'll have to tell him because 16-year-old boys are oblivious. 30-something-year-old boys are also oblivious. Hilda suggests using a sledgehammer to help. Sabrina would rather use a spell, but can't find one in her magic book. Zelda tells her there is no love spell because love is far too precious to tamper with. Hilda says it's too weird, which is why there's no standardized formula, though Calvin Klein came close with obsession. Zelda says magic can't help her in this case, but Hilda says you can imprison someone in a ring for not loving you, and then shows off her ring with a man in Renaissance clothes inside it, saying that she's starting to grow on him. Sabrina says she wants to be alone, so the aunts leave her.
I actually paid attention to the set dressing. And I love the string lights around Sabrina's windows that are some nice orange fall leaves. I would like those for my October spooky decorations. Also, cauldron watch. We have it again.
It's back?
Yes, it's on her desk.
I looked and I didn't see it.
It's because it is transformed and now it is just your office supply catch-all. So now there is a pair of scissors. There is a ruler. There is a stapler and some pens. And it sort of reminds me of junk drawers. Did you have a junk drawer growing up?
I have like 4 junk drawers in my kitchen.
The cauldron's become the junk drawer of Sabrina's desk.
I understand pencils with rulers and scissors. Who puts a stapler in a container? Why does your stapler not just sit on your desk? Do you put it in something?
Growing up, I had like a wooden storage with some slots. Pull-out drawer, some slots for paper and whatnot, and I would stow my stapler in the pull-out drawer to save space.
Yeah, but that's horizontal. You're not sticking it vertically in something.
Sabrina's already abusing her cauldron, so why not abuse it some more and abuse a stapler?
It's just the wildest organization scheme for me. I'm going to be thinking about that stapler for a while. Outside of Sabrina's bedroom, Hilda says that stinks, and Zelda says Harvey or no Harvey, she should go to the ball. Dance. Which tells me there is some trauma in Zelda's background. I need a prequel show. That's what I need. Of young Hilda and Zelda.
Could be a time travel show for all we know, given who knows what their timeline is.
Right? Every episode we're like in a different century, different decade.
With no explanation either.
And their ages just change. We have like 5 different actresses that play each one of them. Yeah.
We should be hired to make TV.
Hilda says Sabrina needs someone to make her forget Harvey. Zelda asks if they have Mando in the house, and she and Hilda race to the kitchen. The stairs they go down are the stairs that go to the front room, but they end up coming down the stairs that go to the kitchen. What is this house?
Wait, there are multiple staircases?
Yeah, there's the one in the front room, and then there's the one that comes down into the kitchen.
Oh, my situational and what's that word for the space you're in and the awareness of it?
Spatial awareness?
Spatial, not situational. Thank you. My spatial awareness clearly is 0.
Yeah, so and we know those are the living room stairs that they're going down because we've seen people go up them from the living room and then appear at the top of those stairs. So there's another staircase somewhere.
Oh yeah, because there's some stairs by the magical linen closet, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are the stairs. Those are the stairs that go down to the living room. There's another set of stairs that go down to the kitchen, which I'm assuming are like back where the camera is usually.
I feel like we just need to make an architecture map.
I don't think we can. I think these are like Hogwarts stairs. Can only take apart sitcom architecture so far. They're all fun houses, MC Escher houses. Hilda reaches the kitchen first and celebrates beating Zelda. Zelda calls her immature, and Salem asks if they mind keeping it down because he's staring into space. Hilda picks him up and dances with him, which turns into her dancing with a ball of dough, singing Dream Date. Zelda and Hilda are forming dough into body parts while music plays. Hilda places the head on the table, Zelda forms a nose and tosses Hilda some ears. They add feet and high five with some hands. They finish assembling the dough in the shape of a man, and Zelda notices one arm is shorter than the other. She asks Hilda if she's been eating dough, and Hilda answers no with her mouth full.
Okay, so we know this dough is about to become a man, temporarily at least, which they seem to be of flesh and blood, so is Hilda just continuing to pursue the cannibalism? I'm sensing a thread.
I don't have a good answer for this.
Is it innocent in dough form? Like, it's only once it's risen that it's fine, and then, like, once it's disintegrated back into dough, it's okay again?
My thought was more like, it just says dough. To me, it looks like a bread dough. It doesn't look like a cookie dough. I don't know of anybody who just snacks on some bread dough while you're making...
Oh, I've done it.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Is it good?
Dough is dough. Yeah. Little roll dough or a little bread dough. It's a little snacky snack. Okay, listeners, we gotta have a poll. Are we pro eating a little bit of bread dough as we go along, or are we normal like Laura? Let us know.
I mean, you do you. We both have issues with this for different reasons. They start on the personality glaze, adding things like great dancer, daredevil, musician. Zelda asks, do girls still like musicians? And Hilda says, ever since Mozart's Feel the Heat tour. And a lot of enthusiasm. They start to put the glaze on, then place a large towel over the dough and set a timer. Sabrina comes down asking what they're cooking because it smells handsome. Zelda says they're making her a dream date out of man dough and show her the box that says all-purpose man dough, which to me suggests that there's other types like cake man dough, self-rising man dough, bread man dough, and whole wheat man dough.
Gotta have your gluten-free Mando.
I just spent like 5 minutes giggling to myself, thinking about the different types of people you would get with these different types of dough.
Love it. Do you think Mando is more like human dough, or are there different varieties of person dough, woman dough?
Oh, I think I bring that up at some point later on in our notes, but I think so. Although the thought of woman dough makes me really uncomfortable.
Valid.
Do we want to talk about how potentially anatomically correct hands made this man?
I don't think it's well. I mean, look at that montage. It's a horrifying man they put together. Lucky the glaze made him turn out nice looking on the outside.
Because we didn't see any of that. So is he like a Ken doll?
Do they automatically have yeast infections?
Probably like half the people listening have just turned it off. They're like, I'm done.
Yeah. And done.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I can't go down this line of thought anymore.
I can't see my computer screen anymore. I have tears in my eyes.
He will last 4 hours.
Just seems like a long montage and a lot of work for 4 hours.
Have you watched any of those wedding shows where they do like a huge montage of trying on dresses for one dress?
Oh, no.
No, of course you haven't. I'm okay with
Who are you talking to?
I'm okay with the montage for the 4 hours. We got some fun nose sculpting out of it.
The music behind it was fun too.
And the aprons. I don't know how I feel about Zelda's apron, but I kind of want it. So her dream date made out of dough will last 4 hours, which is perfect for her dance. Sabrina says she wanted to go with Harvey, not Poppin' Fresh, which is the name of the Pillsbury Doughboy, in case you didn't know he had a name.
I didn't know.
Zelda tells her just to meet him. Sabrina says she's not going. The dough suddenly starts to rise, and then we hear the timer ding. Man's done! This episode's ridiculous. The dough sits up and pulls off the towel, revealing a boy. Sabrina admits that he's really cute. Zelda says they understand if she still doesn't want to go, but Sabrina says she'll go. She just needs to get ready. She zaps on a dress and grabs the boy, who says she looks great and the dance sounds fantastic. Sabrina and her dream date arrive at the school cafeteria. He says, this place is fantastic. I'm not going to make you do a drinking game because we could do one with this one, but I'm not going to make you do it this time.
I gotta say, I finished last week's episode so hydrated. Choosing water was the best choice ever.
Listeners, if you would like to do a drinking game, and every time he says, I love this song, that's when you drink. He's very excited about the bunting. I appreciated that he pointed out the bunting because it looks like there was a lot of hard work that went into that. Sabrina asks him to keep it down because he's kind of loud. Jenny comes over and says hi.
Can we talk a moment about Jenny's velvet dress?
Yes, because I think we're going to have different opinions on it. Go for it.
It gives me the heebie-jeebies just looking at it on a screen, just imagining the texture. Ugh.
I had a very similar velvet dress in the 90s.
And you loved it.
I loved it. And I love her dress so much. In fact, a lot of the outfits in this scene, all like in the background actors, I was like, oh, that dress is really cute. That dress is like Sabrina's dress. Love it. I really like Libby's dress. And then I was like, am I stuck in the 90s? This is what this tells me about my sense of fashion. I loved Hilda and Zelda's outfits this episode. Jenny introduces herself and asks who Sabrina's date is. He looks at Sabrina and she says his name is Chad Corey Dillon.
Reminded me a lot of Chad Michael Murray, but he won't come into the scene for another year. So look at you, Sabrina.
There were also just like Brian Austin Green. There were a lot of 3 named guys out there that weren't serial killers.
Congrats, all. You did it.
In our 90s, if you had 3 names, you're either a serial killer or a teenage heartthrob. Sabrina asks Chad to get them some punch. Sabrina asks Jenny what she thinks, and Jenny says he's cute and asks where they met. Sabrina says her aunts introduced them, and they rode over on his motorcycle. Where did the motorcycle come from?
Sabrina probably figured out with her magic to zap some poor kid's bike and turn it into a motorcycle, and now a child is wandering the streets of whatever state or city they're in bikeless.
But isn't it more fun to think of the motorcycle being made from dough?
We didn't see that montage. It has to be like car dough or something, right? So you're not like human flesh motorcycle? I'm just following the rules they've given me in this episode. I know it's unhinged.
I think that's why I really like this episode, because it is just so wild. Jenny approves of his motorcycle, whatever it is made out of. Chad comes back with punch and starts drinking his a little too fast, so Sabrina tells him to slow down, which that was just like a weird beat in that moment. Sabrina seemed irrationally upset with him.
Maybe the punch can ruin the dough and his insides.
Yeah, does he need it? Okay, no, we're not going down. Not another, no, no.
He's very enthusiastic that the punch comes in red and orange, but later on we just see orange punch, so I'm very confused where the red punch came from.
Maybe he drank it all and they had to just fill it up with orange punch again. They didn't have enough red. Jenny goes off to dance and Chad excitedly asks if they can dance here. He says he's made to dance and loves this song. Harvey and Libby show up and Libby asks Sasha what they've missed.
Outfit watch, which isn't normal for me, but today I guess was my day. Harvey is wearing the exact same clothes as the previous day, and I just hope to God he washed them in the last 24 hours as a teenage boy going through puberty. Please just have washed them. That's all I ask.
You know he did not.
I know, and it's gross.
I clocked that too, and then I deleted my comment after they addressed that later, because it's like, oh, okay. I thought it was like the same day as earlier, and the costume designer just decided to make Harvey really lazy and not change his outfit from the school day to the school dance.
Nope, it's been a full 24 hours.
Sasha says they haven't missed much and asks where they've been. Harvey says they had some engine trouble with the vet on the way over. Sasha excitedly asks if he drives a Corvette. Libby clarifies that it's a Chevette. Harvey defends it, saying it's the same manufacturer. Libby then spots Sabrina and asks who she's with. Jenny tells her it's Chad Corey Dillon, and yes, that is his motorcycle outside. Sasha says that Sabrina wins, but Libby isn't giving in. She tells Harvey they're going to dance, but Harvey tells her he doesn't dance. Libby does not accept that. Harvey says dance is more of a metaphor. For what? Something else? Harvey sits down and Libby angrily storms off to the bathroom with Sasha. And the way Sasha is just following behind them in the background as they're moving in the cafeteria closer and closer to the wall. She has her like shoulders slumped and her head kind of down. Like, Sasha kind of looks like an abused puppy. What is Libby doing to this poor girl?
Oh, to be in the mean girl clique.
But she's not, because like, where are Jill and Cece? Those are her usual ones. Is she just dealing with Sasha because Jill and Cece are grounded and can't go to the dance? So she'll put up with this person, I guess?
I totally forgot about Jill and Cece.
I think they come back. Sabrina spots Harvey sadly sitting off to the side and waves at him. Chad asks who she saw, and Sabrina says, just a friend.
I do wish they had either brought back the nurse extra or had the extras dancing with the enthusiasm of the nurse from the previous episode. That's all I wish from this dance scene, really.
Yeah, the background dancing was much more toned down, but just awkward enough to feel like it's a high school dance. Hilda and Zelda are in the kitchen reading. It looks like Zelda's reading a scientific journal of some sort, and Hilda has a novel, maybe a romance novel? Hilda says they haven't done this since the Taft administration, which is another age clue. The Taft presidency was from 1909 to 1913. So they were bare minimum teenage, definitely adult women during the Taft presidency. Zelda asks Hilda what she put in her personality. Hilda put in optimism because she wants her date to be hopeful. A timer dings and Hilda says hers is done. A man sits up and Hilda introduces herself, to which he replies, "Would you get off my back? I've been looking for work. Stop riding me." Zelda points out that he doesn't sound very hopeful and asks if she checked the expiration date on the optimism. It says hope fades, which means her dream date is hopeless. The man gets off the table and tells them to break up the hen party because somewhere there's men competing in a professional sport and he's missing it.
So now we know Mando also comes in toxic.
Is it the Mando, though, or is it the glaze?
Probably a little bit of both.
He goes off to look for the TV. Hilda bemoans her luck with men, even those made out of dough. Zelda asks if she wants to start over, but Hilda says maybe she can change him.
If I were making a playlist for this episode, we would be getting Taylor Swift's I Can Fix Him on this playlist.
Zelda warns her that never works, but Hilda says she loves a challenge. As she walks off, Zelda asks if she wants to see who her dream date is, and Hilda guesses it's a brave, milk-swilling fireman. Zelda asks how she knew, and Hilda says she found the calendar in Zelda's desk. Sabrina's right, there's no privacy in this house. The timer dings again, and a fireman sits up, says, "Hello, kitten, got milk?" And Salem pops out of the basket again before realizing that the fireman is not talking to him.
Probably the best Salem moment of this episode of just being like, oh no, I don't want to be a part of this.
Do we think Zelda was briefly turned into a cat by the Witches' Council at some point?
Maybe.
She's pretty good at rule following, but I think in the name of science, she would definitely go a little crazy. So maybe just like a year or two as a kitten and it really changed her. Sabrina and Chad are still dancing, but Sabrina asks if they can take a break. Chad says they can, but he loves this song. Sabrina tells him he can keep dancing and asks Jenny to take over for her. Jenny tells her not to be long because she doesn't want people thinking she's sold out. Sabrina goes over to Harvey at the punch table and asks if he's busy. He's trying to fish a chip out of the punch. Harvey says Sabrina looks nice, and Sabrina says so does he. He's wearing what he wore to school yesterday. Sabrina does say he smells okay, so...
Does he, or is Sabrina being nice because she likes him?
Or maybe he put on the cologne a little heavy to overwhelm the smell of that. I don't know.
Was Axe body spray a thing in the 90s?
No, but Bath & Body Works is pretty big. I was a Juniper Breeze girl. I also remember these body sprays that came in like different candy flavors, and I was obsessed with the gummy bear one. So I think for like all of 6th grade, I smelled like gummy bears. I recognize now that was a bad choice to make, but in 6th grade, it sounded amazing. Sabrina asks where Libby is, and Harvey says she's in the bathroom, mad at him because he doesn't dance. Sabrina thought he would be good at dancing. Harvey says he's okay when he's in his room by himself, clarifying that he doesn't spin around a pole because for some reason we would all have thought that.
Thank you, Harvey, for the clarification about your bedroom layout.
There is a pole, he does not dance around it. But he gets self-conscious in front of other people. Sabrina says they all do, but Harvey points out that her date doesn't. Sabrina says Chad is kind of special, and Harvey says she must really like him. Chad comes over and introduces himself, Chad Corey Dillon, and Harvey responds, Harvey Dwight Kinkle.
This the first time we learned that Harvey's middle name is Dwight?
I think so.
Nice.
We'll have to see if it stays Dwight throughout the show. That feels like one thing that would change, probably. Chad asks Sabrina to come back out because she doesn't know what she's missing. She dryly asks, great song, and Chad laughs, saying she knows everything, and pulls her back on the dance floor. Libby comes up to the punch table, and Harvey jokingly says he thought she had fallen in, and she just gives a charming. Hilda is watching sports with her date on the couch. She asks him what he's thinking, and he says, the ref's a jerk. She tries to get him to talk while watching sports. Why don't you share your feelings? Why don't you share the chips? Hilda starts to talk again, and he tells her they can make out when it gets to a boring commercial.
His farmer's tan is so bad. Was that part of the glaze? Is that part of the glaze going wrong? I have questions about Hilda's choices.
Maybe she likes a farmer's tan, to each their own. Also, what would it be like to make out with a guy made out of dough? What's the texture there? What's happening there?
Do we want to go down that wormhole? Our
I
poor
don't think
listeners have already gotten
so. Sorry.
half our intrusive thoughts verbalized, so...
Zelda adoringly watches the firemen drink milk in the kitchen. I've never seen a man drink so much milk. I like milk. I got uncomfortable with Zelda's weird milk fetish thing. What is happening?
There is a ton of milk in this series so far, and I feel like Sabrina is sponsored by Big Milk or something.
She never did a Got Milk campaign. I've researched it. Melissa Joan Hart did not do a Got Milk campaign, but maybe she didn't need to.
Because they had a whole series about milk.
I'm so uncomfortable, Zelda. First Mr. Poole, and now this. Zelda girl, raise your standards. Chad and Sabrina are dancing again, and Libby tells Harvey she doesn't understand why he didn't just say no when she asked him to the dance. He told her he's working on it. The music changes to a slow dance, and Chad grabs Sabrina, but she says she's really not into slow dances. They should go stand by the chairs instead. Jenny still dances by herself to the slow dance, but then she says it's too weird even for her. Libby tells Harvey that if he doesn't want to be here, he should just leave. He starts to open up to her about something, but then Libby sees Chad and leaves Harvey to introduce herself. She compliments his dancing, and he says he's also a daredevil and a rock musician. He plays lead guitar. Harvey snorts lead guitar. Sabrina says Harvey also plays an instrument, the bassoon, which, okay, now we know that Harvey's both on the football team and in the band.
Multifaceted.
Yeah, talk about personality glaze. Harvey's got it all. Sabrina says she thinks the bassoon is really sexy. And Libby quips, maybe to another bassoon, which I love as an insult, and I'm just going to start calling people bassoons.
I have a question about how you pronounce that word.
Bassoon? Bassoon? How am I saying it?
You said bah.
Bassoon?
Like bah.
Bassoon. Bassoon.
Bassoon.
Bassoon.
Bassoon.
Do you want me to redo it with saying bassoon? Bassoon.
No, that's a great tangent.
Bassoon. 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 Yeah, bassoon. I think it's because I'm reading it. Blame it on my Utah accent. The music changes again, and Chad says he loves the song. Libby says she also loves it, but her date can't dance. Sabrina says that he is actually a wonderful dancer. Harvey protests, and Sabrina tells him to prove it, then zaps him. Harvey suddenly busts out some tap moves. The students clear to give him space on the floor as a spotlight shines on him. Jenny cheers for Harvey dancing alone. Sabrina says he's actually better than Chad, and Chad agrees. The music ends, and Harvey rushes off the dance floor asking if anyone saw him. Libby says everyone saw him, and Harvey says he feels really self-conscious. Chad tells Sabrina he wants to dance because he's feeling inspired. Harvey says he's going, and Libby tries to stop him. Harvey finally says no. Sabrina apologizes to Chad, but tells him she has to go. Did Sabrina give Harvey the ability to dance, or just the confidence to do what he already knows?
Think a little bit of both. Also, throughout that entirety of the dance, I was just waiting for it to go wrong and for him to injure himself again somehow. Sorry, Harvey.
There's no faraway shot, so we know it's actually Nate Richard who's doing all the dancing. So can Nate dance, or did he learn it for this? I'm impressed by Harvey/Nate dancing. During the whole Chad, Libby, Sabrina, Harvey exchange, Sasha is just sitting behind them awkwardly on a chair, watching this entire exchange go down, kind of making some facial expressions, but they don't seem like they actually line up with what's happening. And this is where I was like, is she made out of woman dough? Because she has zero personality.
Maybe she's even more self-conscious than Harvey.
This poor girl, she was done so wrong in this episode.
Terrified of Libby. We've seen Sasha before, correct?
I don't think so. I think this is the only episode that she's in.
It's because she got scared off.
Sabrina takes off after Harvey and finds him outside of the school on a bench. When she says that she thought he'd already be gone, she followed right behind him, like 30 seconds after him. Anyway, he explains that he's not gone because he has to wait for AAA.
He hasn't yet called AAA because Sabrina literally just follow mode past him, so... The timing, people. The timing.
And they don't have cell phones. We know there's payphones in the school, but it would have taken him a minute to get to those payphones and then actually put in the quarters, do the dial, all that stuff.
Do you think Harvey actually carries change, though? He'd have to find change from someone.
No, back in the 90s, you had to carry change, especially if you were going someplace and you needed to make a phone call. Like, you always had little bit of change on you. It's not like today. Sabrina says she'll wait with him. Harvey asks if she shouldn't be inside with, what's his name, what's his name, what's his name? Which, Harvey has some good comebacks in this episode.
He's got some snark this episode. His personality glaze is finally showing.
Finally setting in. Sabrina says he isn't her type. Sabrina wants to talk to Harvey, but it's hard for her. Harvey asks what's wrong, and she freezes him. Sabrina admits all her feelings about how she came with Chad, but then saw Harvey. It's great that they're friends, but she wishes it was more. She likes him, but this is the closest she can get to saying it to his face. Then she unfreezes him. Harvey asks if she just said something. Sabrina says that she was just saying that Chad isn't perfect. One arm is longer than the other. Sabrina starts to go back inside, but Harvey asks if she would dance with him. He won't feel self-conscious if it's just them. They start to dance in a Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers style. Sabrina asks if he loves this song, and Harvey replies that it's okay. Then admits that he's starting to get a little self-conscious as he dips her, and then he's really self-conscious. Harvey says that's all he can do, but Sabrina says that's enough, and she's ready to go home. Harvey asks if she wants to go to the slicery and play foosball. Yeah, I love foosball! She apologizes and says she's been hanging around Chad too much. She goes back inside to tell him that she's leaving. When she's out of hearing range, Harvey says that he likes her.
Oh, young love. Gross.
Gross. In the cafeteria, Sabrina tells Chad they need to talk. She admits he's not the one she wants to be with. She says she wants to be with Harvey, and Chad says that's an excellent choice. Chad really is a dream date. Sabrina asks if it's okay if she leaves, and Chad says he'll just stay there and miss her. Sabrina says he has 2 hours left and probably loves this song, so he should ask Libby to dance. Which Libby is supposedly the most popular girl in school, and she is just sitting on a chair off to the side, and no one else has asked her to dance.
Everyone is afraid of her.
Just saying, for a popular girl, this was not the experience I had with hot popular girls in my high school. They wouldn't just be sitting there off to the side. They'd have their other friends. They'd be dancing in a group. Chad admits that he likes Libby, and then he says that he might be starting to go bad. So apparently the dough can go bad and cause issues. Sabrina comes back outside to Harvey, and he shows off that his arms are the same length.
Very impressive, Harvey.
Hilda is explaining everything she has learned about football to her date, but he's upset that she's yapping. She points out that it's a hardware commercial. She goes to the kitchen to get a rolling pin, where Zelda is timing her date as he puts his fireman gear on. In the background, I am obsessed with the porch door again. The enclosed porch looks like it's been updated because there's now lattice work above and to the sides of the door. But this still lets in the elements and bugs, begging the question, what is a door keeping out? Stray cats? Animals? This door is so confusing to me.
The door is your cauldron watch, I feel.
It is. I'm obsessed with this door. I better get some answers in the 7 seasons we have of this show, however many seasons we have. I want to figure out what's going on with this door. Hilda slaps the rolling pin on her palm and says she'll be back in a jiff. Zelda asks what her date wants to do now, and he offers to register her bike or make lasagna for 50. She asks if he can teach her the Heimlich, but first he needs a milk break. Hilda comes back with a large pile of dough that she throws in the garbage and tells Zelda that they'll have to share the fireman. Zelda refuses, and they start a tug of war with him. Zelda ends up pulling off his arm that is holding his milk glass, and the fireman is really sad about that. Hilda asks if she can have him now that he's damaged. So the fact that his arm got pulled off brings up more questions. How fleshy are these people, these dough people, and how doughy are they?
Given what we're about to see, you would think it would instantly crumple into some dough form. But in this scene, they choose to use clearly a mannequin arm, so there is no consistency.
So then, how hard did Hilda have to beat her date with the rolling pin to turn him back into a pile of dough? And it did not take long. I do listen to some true crime podcasts and watch a lot of true crime shows, and I know that that kind of blunt force trauma death is not short.
I feel like Hilda has a good arm behind her. She probably has some practice given her tendencies. I just wonder if the living room is splattered in. It has to be splattered in flour, not dough, or dough and flour, based on the next scene as well. I don't know.
Just saying. When does he turn back into dough? Is it once there's a killing blow? That would be kill a normal human being. All of a sudden he's just a pile of... Okay, sorry. So many questions for this episode. Back at the dance. Chad exclaims that he loves this song, and Libby says that they are so right for each other. She turns around as she dances, and Chad starts coughing up flour. He runs out of the cafeteria in search of preservatives. Libby turns back around to find him gone and goes searching for him. She steps outside of the school and right into a pile of dough. In fact, there's dough all over the outside. She runs back inside, and one pile of dough says, "I had a really great time. Oh man, I love this song."
Dough splatters, flour splatters, him coughing up flour in the middle of the dance hall was sort of triggering in a post-COVID world. It's oh my gosh, the germs can't do that.
The dough is scattered about this little courtyard area. Did he expect explode, or it was like an arm fell off and turned into like pieces were falling off and turning into dough. Like, I need the transformation sequence from man to dough. We got from dough to man. I need it back the other way.
I pictured falling off, but an explosion would be cool too.
His like mouth and chin is on like a ledge.
Yeah, we know where his head landed.
Not his whole head, just the mouth part.
It's true. His eyes are somewhere else.
How long does it maintain its mouthy shape?
How long does he have consciousness as this dough? And does that mean Hilda's bludgeoned to death date in the garbage can still sitting there as a ball of dough feeling some things?
I need clearer rules and descriptions on how, because we've seen 3 different demises. I need more information.
This episode was clearly not written to be picked apart and seen by our crazy thoughts about all of this.
It's not, but it is super fun to pick it apart.
It truly is.
It's wild. Our end tag. Libby's on the payphone at the school talking to a detective. She gives the name Chad Corey Dillon and starts to describe him as really tall and really cute. He was last seen dancing with her. She admits he's only been gone 20 minutes and is interrupted. She angrily replies that she will not wait 24 hours because he's the love of her life. She pauses and then, hello? Hello? She's been hung up on, and Chad Corey Dillon is several piles of dough outside.
Is the janitor just cleaning up these remnants of the Mando? Is he just going to be trampled by all the Harvest Moon dancers as they exit the venue?
Oh my gosh, and there's little pieces of them on everybody's shoes just being tracked all over town.
This is how viruses are spread.
Sabrina, clean up your Mando. Don't just leave your Mando behind. Oh my gosh. Well, that's the episode, everyone.
Sorry for any trauma we might have caused.
I mean, I feel like we still talk about this for another hour. I still have questions.
Yes, there's a lot of like intrusive thoughts I could be blurting out about this Mando, but I'm choosing not to.
Yeah.
I peaked at yeast infections, and I'm just gonna stay there.
Oh, okay. Our next episode in season 1, episode 7, Third Ant from the Sun. Hey, Skye, what do you think that episode's about?
Is it a play on like Third Rock from the Sun that also came out in 1996? That's what it reminds me of. And then maybe there's a mystery third ant in the Spellman family. Maybe she's just made out of dough. I don't know anymore. I can't trust any people unless I've seen them around for more than 4 hours.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Oh, yes, thank you.
You can email us with your thoughts and comments and questions about Mando, but maybe don't, because we may do another whole episode just answering them.
For our cookbook, we should have some bread dough that you can make in like a little gingerbread man.
I have a really good gingerbread man recipe I can share. You can email us at somethingwitchypod@gmail.com and follow us on Instagram at somethingwitchypod. Until next time.
Stay meowgical. And don't eat the Mando.